War threatens to erupt between the Jedi and Sith powers yet again. Great heroes of light and dark will do battle once more to determine the fate of the Republic, Sith Empire, and galaxy itself. Yet in the midst of the conflict between the Jedi and Sith, oft-forgotten soldiers and everyday citizens fight their own wars as well. In this video, we will dive into the stories of the non-Force sensitive classes in the famous video game Star Wars: The Old Republic. This will include the Republic Trooper, Bounty Hunter, Smuggler, and the Imperial Agent, which has perhaps the most compelling and intricate arcs of any of the classes. These players relegated to the background provide a stark, grounded contrast to the epic space opera surrounding the Jedi and Sith, and were some of my favorite stories to learn about. Let's get into it. A Republic sergeant joins the fight on Ord Mantell, a planet beset by internal conflict as war breaks out between the Republic and Sith Empire once more. They join as a new initiate in Havoc Squad, a tight-knit special ops unit. It turns out that Ord Mantell separatists have stolen an orbital strike bomb, which must be recovered by Havoc Squad. However, on the way to headquarters, their transport is attacked, and the soldier is sent to take out enemy missile launchers. Afterwards, they make for Fort Garnick to rendezvous with the others. There, the sergeant meets Havoc Squad's commanding officer, Commander Tavis, as well as the second-in-command named Wraith, and the squad's medic and munitions experts. The hunt begins for the stolen bomb, with the squad splitting up and Republic Lieutenant Jorgen coordinating the operation. The sergeant learns the separatists plan to attack a troop convoy as it passes through a rocky area, and is able to thwart the ambush. The stolen bomb is tracked to a separatist base on Manette Point, and the sergeant is sent to rendezvous with Wraith. They cannot locate the bomb, and learn it was moved with other separatists as they split up to separate cells. The sergeant searches for each separatist commanding officer in their cells, and eliminates 3 of them. Havoc Squad then moves to attack the main separatist base in the mountains to find the bomb once and for all. The sergeant is ordered to stay behind with Jorgen to their surprise. As they observe the attack unfolding, contact with Havoc Squad is suddenly lost. The sergeant is sent to base to find the squad, with orders to deactivate the bomb. There they encounter soldiers of the Sith Empire helping the separatists, and stunningly, Commander Tavis and Wraith collaborating with the Empire. Tavis, the others, and Wraith have defected from the Republic, and plan to steal the bomb to help the Empire. The traitors of Havoc Squad flee Ord Mantell with the bomb, leaving the sergeant at the mercy of the Imperials. They vow to hunt the defectors down, and after battling the Imperials, return to Jorgen. There, Jorgen is forced to take the fall for the mass betrayal, and the sergeant is now the last remaining member of Havoc Squad. They are promoted to the rank of lieutenant, and are tasked with rebuilding the Special Ops unit. Jorgen will be their first new member, and he seeks revenge against Tavis. The lieutenant travels to Coruscant to meet their new superior, General Garza. Garza informs them that unfortunately, hundreds of other Special Force soldiers have followed Tavis's example. It is a catastrophic mass defection across the Republic military. The lieutenant is first tasked with cutting off Tavis's weapons and supply lines on Coruscant, the Black Sun, and the Migrant Merchants Guild. They destroy battle droid shipments from the Merchant Guild battling a cyborg warrior named Krell. With the aid of another sergeant named Jaxo, they neutralize a deadly nerve agent of the Black Sun. Then, Garza informs them the Senate has learned of Havoc Squad's defection, and the lieutenant is asked to report for an inquiry. After the questioning, the lieutenant is briefed on Jet Carden, the founder of Havoc Squad. He has been spotted on the lower levels of Coruscant with a vigilante group, and seems to be complicit with the betrayals. The lieutenant also learns of a Havoc Squad mission on Ando Prime, which may have been the catalyst for the betrayals. There, Havoc Squad was sent to cut off an Imperial attack, but was met with much higher resistance than expected. An extraction operation was shut down by the Senate, and Carden was forced to help Havoc Squad fight their way out. The lieutenant is assigned to hunt down Carden and his Justicars in his main base, and they are able to confront the veteran. Carden, also in collaboration with the Empire, flees to his communications relay in the works. The lieutenant fights off the Imperials and finds Carden again, who resolves to protect his former squad members. They are able to convince him to surrender peacefully and turn himself into Garza. The comms relay is destroyed, and Garza briefs them that 4 locations where the defectors have been discovered. Additionally, the traitor Wraith has kidnapped Senator Carcel and now holds him hostage in a remote space station. Havoc Squad battles Wraith's forces, discovering Carcel has been wired with explosives. He claims Wraith wants to force a false confession out of him that the Senate abandoned the old squad on Ando Prime. If the confession goes public, it will spell the political doom of General Garza and the entire Spec Force division. The lieutenant frees Carcel and defuses the bombs, but Wraith manages to escape. They are then assigned 2 new targets, stationed on Terrace and Nar Shaddaa. They first head to Terrace, where they learn from Republic troops on the surface several patrols have mysteriously vanished. It is presumed they were victims of the Rockwell attacks in the wilderness of the planet. The squad tracks the missing patrols and is attacked by scavengers along the way. They manage to find their base, where several soldiers are freed. They reveal they were to be shipped off to Needles, the former medic of Havoc Squad. Sergeant Alara Dorn helps the lieutenant find Needles' hideout, who is in collaboration with the Empire as well. They learn Needles is experimenting on Rockwells to weaponize their plague. The lieutenant storms Needles' forces and confronts the scientist. After a brief fight, Needles is killed and his research is destroyed. The next stop is Nar Shaddaa, where an experimental Republic war droid seems to have gone rogue. Garza believes the droid, M14X, is acting under orders from Tavis, and its rampage must be stopped. The lieutenant meets with an SIS agent on the surface and begins tracking down the droid. M14X is still programmed to be loyal to the Republic, but is being hampered by Tavis and his officer Captain Andric. The lieutenant's team battles Andric's men, but Andric and M14X escape. They hide Havoc Squad's defection from the SIS to avoid the scandal going public. The lieutenant destroys one of Andric's munitions factories and tracks them down to a place called Shadowtown. There, Andric refuses to stand down, and the droid, loyal to Havoc Squad, tries to help the lieutenant destroy it. They battle Andric, who is killed, and the droid is neutralized. M14X is then repaired and its programming is fixed. The droid is added to Havoc Squad, and the lieutenant learns that Tavis himself has stolen a Republic cloaking prototype from a research center on Kularin. Fortunately, the device, and consequently Tavis' ship, has been tracked. He seems to be waiting at a rendezvous point to meet up with a larger ship. However, it turns out Tavis has set up a trap for the lieutenant. He tells them of the Imperial Shadow Fist, the Sith Empire's counter to Havoc Squad. The Holo of Tavis then orders Shadow Fist to attack Havoc Squad, and after a close fight, the lieutenant emerges on top. Garza then sends them to Tatooine in the city of Anchorhead. They learn from its mayor that the city has been racked with bombings, and believe the culprit to be the former munitions expert of Havoc Squad, named Fuse. The lieutenant scopes out the city, destroying several bomb-carrying droids. Then, Fuse himself contacts the lieutenant and mayor, and expresses his regret for betraying the Republic. Fuse, who turns out to be imprisoned, offers to help them take down the Imperials in Anchorhead, who are led by Colonel Gorick. Working off intel from Fuse, the lieutenant attacks a base of Geonosians hired to build the bombs. They then take out one of Gorick's commando teams to learn where the colonel's base is hidden. Gorick frantically tries to evacuate and flee Tatooine, and the lieutenant captures Fuse and sends him to Coruscant. The bombings in Anchorhead are stopped, and Havoc Squad then heads to Alderaan. In the midst of the civil war there, the lieutenant is tasked with aiding House Organa in their conflict against the Empire-backed House Thul. Former Havoc Squad member Gearbox is on the planet as well, aiding House Thul. The lieutenant visits House Organa and talks with a captured noble of House Thul, who offers information on Gearbox and the Empire for asylum. They learn Gearbox is involved in several military projects, including a dangerous missile battery that could wipe out House Organa. Havoc Squad destroys the battery, and the prisoner reveals Gearbox is in a highly fortified mountain base. Upon confronting Gearbox, they discover he has constructed a massive mech suit. The lieutenant manages to destroy the mech, and then kills Gearbox in single combat. The final traitor at large is now none other than Tavis himself. Garza has at last tracked Tavis to a set of coordinates, where he seems to have called for his followers to gather. The lieutenant's recent crusades have weakened his standing in the Empire, and they must now infiltrate Tavis's own flagship. On board, they encounter Wraith again, and manage to neutralize her once and for all. Tavis puts up a harder fight, but is badly wounded and subdued. Garza arrives, and the traitors are at last all arrested. Sometime later, Havoc Squad is tasked with another mission. Garza awards the lieutenant the Bronze Crescent and promotes them to captain, with one of their team members becoming their new executive officer. They are then briefed on a new Imperial superweapon called the Gauntlet. The squad needs to extract an SIS agent with knowledge of its capabilities from Tatooine. It turns out the superweapon is a massive cannon that can lock onto targets while in hyperspace, and is being planned for mass production in the Imperial fleet. The Republic launches a joint operation to deal with the Gauntlet, with Havoc Squad being chosen to sabotage the main prototype. However, before the mission they must acquire a technical and munitions specialist for the team. Their chosen bomb expert, Tano Vic, is on Balmorra. He was dishonorably discharged several years ago, and is currently working for the Balmoran resistance against the Empire. However, it turns out to the chagrin of the resistance, Vic has gone AWOL. The captain moves out to track him, and helps him break into a vault to convince him to join Havoc Squad. Vic steals a cache of Imperial weapons, but is soon kidnapped by the Empire. The captain manages to rescue Vic, and recruits him onto their team. The squad is then asked to save a team called the Safecrackers, deemed an essential component for the assault on the Gauntlet. The Safecrackers are all extracted from an Imperial command center and prepared for the strike. Havoc Squad is then sent to Hoth to pick up their tech expert, Sergeant Yoon. He has been working on an Umbra encryptor to crack Imperial transmissions, and the captain retrieves some parts for Yoon that were stolen by White Maw pirates. The tool is completed, with Yoon then eagerly joining Havoc Squad. The operation against the Gauntlet commences, with the Republic planning to undergo a series of small hyperspace jumps to avoid the weapon. The Safecrackers will shut down its planetary shield generator to allow for Havoc Squad to sabotage it from within. They will assault the bridge and extract its data files before escaping. The battle begins, with the Republic engaging the fleet protecting the Gauntlet. The shield is taken down, and Havoc Squad moves in. The fighting is fierce, but the squad manages to successfully take down the Gauntlet. The captain is then promoted to the rank of Major, but is also contacted by Imperial General Rakton. He is the Empire's top military commander, and has vowed revenge for the destruction of the Gauntlet. It seems the Empire will soon launch a full-scale campaign led by Rakton. Before long, he attacks several Republic worlds and captures their leaders. They are held on Outpost 256, and Havoc Squad must free them. However, the Major and their team then break into the base and free the prisoners to the ire of Rakton. As the war begins to kick off in earnest, General Garza sends Havoc Squad to liberate several top Republic military units from backline combat so they can be moved to the front. The first mission is to bring back a squad of elite pilots from the prison world of Belsavis. They had been imprisoned there for participating in a rogue attack against the Empire, jeopardizing the Treaty of Coruscant. Havoc Squad lands on the surface as the Empire stages a mass breakout, and begins to search for the pilots of Daggerwing. They join the fight to regain control over the planet, linking up with several of the pilots. The Major learns that Daggerwing had launched the attack in an effort to take out the Sith Lord Ondoru, but their intel was bad and their bombing run instead took out civilian targets. As the squad helps contain the breakout, they learn Ondoru is actually somewhere on Belsavis. The Sith Lord is hunted down, wounding the Daggerwing commander in a fight. The Major saves the commander as Ondoru flees. Daggerwing is all extracted and joins the war. Havoc Squad then heads to Voss, where thousands of frontline troops have been stationed out of fear of an Imperial attack. There is considerable bureaucratic red tape to cut through, and to convince the Senate to free up the soldiers, the Imperial presence must be portrayed to be non-threatening. The Major will be observed by Senator Everin as they clear out Imperial agents staging an invasion. They defeat the Imperial agent Deadfall and his forces, then neutralize some armed smugglers working for the Empire. The Major attends a diplomatic meeting with the Republic, Sith, and Voss, and to aid their cause agrees to free several Voss commandos. It is then revealed the stolen bomb from Ord Mantell is on Voss, and has been tracked to the Dark Heart in the Nightmare Lands. The Major discovers the Sith have tunneled under the Voss capital and planted the bomb, and confronts the Sith Lord Torius. In a great act of bravery, they take on Torius and defeat him. Voss is saved, and the bomb is deactivated and recovered. The Voss, however, choose to remain neutral, though Senator Everin cedes command of the troops stationed on the planet to the Major. However, back on Coruscant, the Major is commanded to appear before a Senate hearing investigating recent Special Forces actions. Garza confides to them that one of the senators is actually an Imperial agent, and that they have no authority to arrest him. The Major is ordered to cooperate and to not provoke the senator so the investigation can be prolonged and Havoc Squad will not be interfered with. At the hearing, the Major presents the necessary evidence exposing the senator and departs the hearing. Havoc Squad is then summoned by Garza to Corellia, where the decisive battle of the war is unfolding. General Racton has led a massive attack, and his command center is in the Bastion. The Major is ordered to lead an assault on the Bastion, and enters the fighting head-on while taking care to save civilian lives. They gather several cells of soldiers for the decisive push. The Imperials are driven away from an arms factory, and the Major helps clear a landing zone for Republic ships in Axial Park. The final attack on the Bastion begins, and the Major secures the outer gates. As heavy fighting erupts, the Bastion is breached and the Major battles towards Racton in his command center. There they confront their nemesis, who reasserts the Empire offers a civilized life built on strength and power, rather than the stifling bureaucracy of the Republic. Nonetheless, the Major defeats Racton, the Empire's greatest commander, and takes him prisoner. They make it back to Coruscant, and meet with Garza and the Supreme Chancellor. Havoc Squad is commended for their heroics, and the Major is given the Cross of Glory. It is then revealed that Racton will be swapped in a prisoner exchange that will free hundreds of thousands of hostages held by the Sith Empire. The decision is frustrating, particularly for General Garza, who fears Racton may be near impossible to recapture. Nonetheless, the war goes on, and Havoc Squad departs to rejoin the fight. War has erupted throughout the galaxy, but in the outer territories where lawlessness reigns, the Great Hunt begins. Mercenaries and bounty hunters from across the galaxy gather for a great contest, a manhunt of dangerous targets. One young bounty hunter hopes to join the Great Hunt on Hutta. They become part of a team consisting of the leader Brayden, a slicer Mako, and a fighter named Jory. The bounty hunter learns the Great Hunt is largely split into two groups, the Mandalorian elites and the normal bounty hunters sponsored by crime lords. Consequently, the bounty hunter needs sponsorship and must claim a notorious bounty to gain repute. They begin to hunt a target named Vex, while Brayden works to gain them sponsorship from Nemro the Hutt. The bounty hunter kills Vex, but in the meantime their base is attacked. Jory and Brayden are killed. Mako mourns their deaths, for Brayden was like a father to her. She and the bounty hunter are able to figure out a Mandalorian named Taro Blood is the guilty party. The bounty hunter moves across Hutta, killing several of Nemro's enemies to gain repute. They manage to gain an audience with the Hutt with the help of Mako. Nemro tasks them with several more jobs and bounties, including the head of a local Evokai rebel, killing a traitorous Beastmaster and helping Nemro in a turf war with another Hutt. Mako learns that Taro Blood is buying off Mandalorians to help his chances in the Great Hunt. Nemro then reveals that his sponsorship token has already been given to another mercenary. The bounty hunter then hunts down the mercenary and claims the token and sponsorship for themselves. A representative of the Great Hunt informs the bounty hunter that Taro technically cannot be punished for his actions, but will be monitored during the competition. The bounty hunter is told to seek out the Hunt Master in the Mandalorian Enclave in Droman Kos. There, they learn there is only one spot left in the hunt, with more than 36 candidates hoping to claim it. They are assigned a handler named Krista, and are ordered to compete for the last spot by hunting 3 bounties, with those successful to compete in a final melee. Krista briefs them on their first target, a Sith slave named Altaka, formerly a Republic noble. They hunt him down in a rebel slave camp, but Taro Blood hires Imperial forces to detain the bounty hunter. After defeating the Imperials, they detain Altaka and move on to the next target, the Sith daughter of an Imperial admiral. The aspiring Sith is defeated and captured, and the bounty hunter is then tasked with infiltrating the Sith Dark Temple and discovering proof of a commander's death. They find the commander alive and maddened by Sith sorcery, but are able to secure the ID cards needed to fulfill the bounty. The bounty hunter then enters the final melee and kills all the other competitors. Their qualifications are disputed by Taro Blood, but the hunt's master overrides the objection. Taro vows to kill the bounty hunter before the hunt is over, as killing is forbidden before the competition officially starts. The bounty hunter learns all the hunters will hunt various targets across the galaxy, as well as their competition, for fame, wealth, and the opportunity to work alongside Mandalore. The bounty hunter steals a ship for their exploits, working around Taro's continued efforts to sabotage them. Their first target is on Balmora, where the bounty hunter must find Admiral Ivernus. He notoriously remains above the planet in a fortified flagship, and thus must be lured down to the surface. They get in contact with one of Ivernus's lieutenants who is looking for a bounty hunter to help further his career by eliminating incompetent commanders. The bounty hunter is tasked with sabotaging the lieutenant's rival Sardius via a droid factory, a local resistance base, and dealing with the local insect colicoids. The factories are dealt with, and the colicoids are provoked into aggressive attacks on Imperials. Sardius's reputation is damaged, and the bounty hunter convinces the lieutenant to meet Ivernus face to face. Sardius is arrested, and Ivernus travels down to the surface. The bounty hunter is able to join the lieutenant's meeting with Ivernus, alongside a Cathar named Murgir. Ivernus, however, also blames the lieutenant for Sardius's failures. Murgir is then revealed to be another competitor in the Great Hunt, also looking to take down the Admiral. The bounty hunter in the ensuing all-out brawl takes out Ivernus and their rival, fulfilling their first target. They then fly to Nar Shaddaa for the next bounty, a professional assassin called the Eidolon. He is employed by the Hutt cartel, but has started a security firm that is taking business away from the crime lords. The Eidolon is also a large supplier of munitions to the Republic. The bounty hunter takes out one of his factories to provoke the Eidolon, then discovers that the Zargnor clan of Ugnaughts is another rival in the Great Hunt. They are building a new prototype of war droid and must be neutralized before the Eidolon is killed. After dealing with the clan, the bounty hunter schemes to release the Eidolon's private records and make them public. The Eidolon is thus drawn out into battle, impressed by the bounty hunter's schemes. He challenges them to a fight, and after a long battle is defeated. The bounty is fulfilled, but the bounty hunter then learns the next targets will be on Tatooine and Alderaan. However, it turns out the entire list of Great Hunt targets has been stolen and will soon be auctioned off. The hunt is in danger of being compromised, and the bounty hunter is asked by the hunt master's assistant to eliminate all potential buyers at the auction. They travel to Hutta and disrupt the auction and kill all the buyers there. It is revealed the list was stolen at the behest of a Mandalorian, presumed to be Taro Blood, to ensure his victory in the hunt. Taro's targets were not compromised, and the bounty hunter returns to the competition. However, their target on Tatooine, Tiresias Lokai, has learned he is a target of the Great Hunt. Consequently, he has gone into hiding. The bounty hunter manages to eliminate a rival hunter also chasing Lokai, and corners him at the base of the Lady of Pain. The bounty hunter overpowers their target, and Lokai offers to cut a deal. He asks to work for the bounty hunter as part of their crew, and gives them a body double so the target can be fulfilled and the hunt can go on. The next stop is Alderaan, where Krista informs them they are to take out a noble named Duke Corwin. After gaining some intel from House Gerard, they track Corwin to House Rist. However, House Rist tries to hire them to instead assassinate the leaders of Gerard. After declining, the Duke is revealed to have fled to Organa territory. The bounty hunter storms House Organa, where they learn the Duke is actually dead and has been portrayed by a series of decoys. To technically fulfill the bounty hunter takes Corwin's body to satisfy the hunt. The bounty hunter then enters the final round of the Great Hunt, and is then contacted by Hadar Soon. He is a former victor of the hunt, and informs them that Taro Blood is arranging a meeting to eliminate the bounty hunter. They travel to the coordinates on Nar Shaddaa given to them by Soong, and confront the minions of Taro and Soong as well. The bounty hunter challenges one of the Mandalorians who killed Braden to a duel and defeats them. However, the others then turn on Sung and shoot him before being killed by the bounty hunter. As he dies, Sung urges the bounty hunter to win the game and to begin following the path of the Mandalorian clans. Their final target is a Jedi Master, Kellyan Jarro. Additionally, Taro Blood himself will be their rival hunter. The bounty hunter infiltrates the Republic cruiser Aurora, trailing Taro. Their ship is captured by a tractor beam, and the crew immediately begins fighting their way to the Jedi and Taro. They sabotage the ship's hyperdrive to explode when the Aurora jumps next. Taro is discovered to be imprisoned, and is left in a cell to die when the ship blows up. Master Kellyan is confronted on the bridge, and the bounty hunter battles him and his Padawan. Kellyan is killed, completing the last hunt. The bounty hunter escapes the Aurora and returns to Dromund Kaas. There, the bounty hunter is called for an audience with Mandalore himself, and meets with the Hunt Master. They are decreed the champion of the Great Hunt, and then meet with Mandalore the Vindicated. There, they link up with other Mandalorian warriors, and Mandalore introduces them to the other victors of the Great Hunt. They, and they alone, have access to the legendary Blacklist, a list of high-profile targets. Mandalore offers the bounty hunter a spot on the list in his place, and also formally initiates them into the Mandalorian clans. The bounty hunter is given a Blacklist bounty, which is situated somewhere on Taris. Their target is the exiled Mandalorian Jinkin Caldera. They rescued a captured Mandalorian named Torian, who turns out to be his son. The bounty hunter engages Jinkin in a Mandalorian ritual duel and battles him in his hideout, the crashed Endar Spire. Jinkin is defeated and executed, impressing the other champions. Torian joins the bounty hunter's crew and they depart Taris. The bounty hunter is then contacted by the business empire Adas Corp, who offer a large sum for a product endorsement on Quesh. Upon arriving at the meeting point, however, the bounty hunter is ambushed by Republic SIS agents for the death of Master Kellyan. Kellyan's Padawan, who had escaped, leads the strike team as they attack. The bounty hunter defeats them all and escapes. They learn of their next Blacklist target, stationed on Hoth. They are contacted by Aristocrat Hadro of the Chiss Ascendancy, who tells them they must hunt the Trandoshan pirate renegade Voss. Voss has allied with the White Maw on Hoth, and there the bounty hunter interrogates a Jawa named Blizz. To draw Voss out, the bounty hunter tracks down several White Maw captains and kills them all. Voss emerges after a long hunt and fights the bounty hunter. He is soundly defeated, and his body is handed over to the Chiss. Blizz is freed and joins the bounty hunter's crew. With another successful mark under their belt, the other champions invite the bounty hunter back to Nar Shaddaa for a party. However, they arrive to find all the champions killed, the party floor in flames. It is revealed the Jedi have attacked the bounty hunters, and their strike team is quickly defeated. The bounty hunter is furious at the Jedi Order, who seem to be determined to kill them. After returning to the ship, it is revealed that the Supreme Chancellor has placed the bounty hunter on the top of the Republic's most wanted list, on largely trumped-up charges. They cannot flee to Republic or Imperial space, but Darth Tormund asks to meet with the bounty hunter. The Sith informs them war has officially broken out in the galaxy again, and the planet of Corellia has become hotly contested. He commands the bounty hunter to kill the Supreme Chancellor for the Sith, offering an opportunity to strike against the Jedi. Master Jun Saros, leader of the effort to kill the bounty hunter, is also a close advisor to the Chancellor and may be able to be drawn out. Tormund wants to lure them to Corellia, but first several enemies of the Sith must be eliminated. The bounty hunter is sent to Belsavis to eliminate the pirate Zael Barrows, who helped the smuggler Hylo Viz break the Mandalorian blockade in the last war. They land on Belsavis and begin tracking Zael down in the vast Republic prison complex. It turns out Zael is hiding in a place called the Tomb, which is unfortunately overrun by the aliens called the Eshka. The bounty hunter corners Zael in Block 44, where he is battling Sith working to free the Dreadmasters, 6 powerful servants to the Empire. Another fight ensues and Zael is killed. They continue to their next target on the planet of Voss. The bounty hunter meets with an Imperial ambassador, who tasks them with hunting down Republic General Thalonia Redrish. It is believed she is coordinating guerrilla attacks on the Imperials stationed on Voss, something that if exposed would greatly upset the isolationist locals. The bounty hunter is tasked with gathering evidence of the attacks and begins their search. Several of Redrish's officers are killed, and evidence is found complicating the general in working with the local Gormak. Redrish is summoned to a trial before the boss, as well as the bounty hunter. At the trial, Redrish is able to cast enough doubt on the evidence to gain her freedom. The bounty hunter decides to trail her as she heads to the Shrine of Healing. They eventually learn Redrish has been captured, and they head into Gormak territory and demand they show them where Redrish is being held. Apparently, she has been taken to the Dark Heart in the Nightmare Lands. The bounty hunter finally finds Redrish again, who has been trying to obtain a peace settlement between the Gormak and Voss. Redrish is detained, and Darth Tormund summons the bounty hunter to join his fleet for an impending attack on Corellia. They link up with the flagship to find it under heavy Republic attack. The bounty hunter storms the ship and battles Republic forces to retake the bridge. Darth Tormund then arrives and continues a course to Corellia. He looks to crush the resistance there against the planet's Imperial subjugators, and orders the bounty hunter to capture the rebellion leaders. They will be forced to sign a treaty giving the planet to Imperial rule. The Supreme Chancellor will naturally seek to avoid this, and Master June Saros will consequently be drawn into battle. The bounty hunter arrives on Corellia and successfully captures 3 prominent resistance leaders, the head of the Corporate Council, a Solonian raider, and the Civil Police Force Commissioner. They are all taken to the Grand Assembly, where the 3 leaders are forced to sign the treaty. A large Republic fleet, including the ships of the Supreme Chancellor and June Saros, arrives at Corellia. Saros plans to rally the Green Jedi of Coronet City and must be killed to track down the Chancellor. The bounty hunter confronts their nemesis, who refuses to stand down. They fight a long, hard duel, but Saros is overcome and killed. The bounty hunter returns to Darth Tormund and helps the Sith Lord fight off a Jedi attack. The Chancellor is now exposed as the battle for Corellia rages on. The bounty hunter flies to the Chancellor's flagship Founder to hunt them down. The Chancellor is confronted and accepts his fate. He reveals his guilt over the framing of the bounty hunter, and releases the true details to the public. The Chancellor knows he will be forced to step down from office due to the backlash, and the bounty hunter will have somewhat of a clean slate. He offers the bounty hunter immunity if they rejoin the Republic's side and turn their back on Tormund. The bounty hunter agrees, and flies back to Tormund's flagship, who believes the Chancellor to be dead. However, the Sith quickly catches on to the deception and attacks. The bounty hunter fights off a series of devastating blows, but manages to overcome Tormund and kill him. The charges on the bounty hunter are lifted, and with the war continuing to rage on, they and their crew depart Corellia in search of their next job. As war begins to brew once more between the Republic and Sith Empire, chaos reigns in the Outer Rim. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and smugglers thrive in the lawless region, particularly on Ord Mantell. A civil war rages there between separatists and those who remain loyal to the Republic. It is here a smuggler has come to deliver cargo to the front lines. They make their way through the fighting to drop off a shipment of blasters to a man named Havoc. The separatists close in on the base and take control of a cannon and the air defense systems. It prevents anyone from arriving or leaving the base, and the smuggler rushes off to destroy the controls to the cannon. The separatists then attack the hangar, threatening the smuggler's ship. They join the defense of the hangar, and it is revealed Havoc helped the separatists break in and then stole the smuggler's ship and cargo. His lieutenant Corso Riggs is furious and takes them to their boss Vidu at Fort Garnet. Vidu is outraged at Havoc's betrayal, informing the smuggler the blasters were for someone called Rogan the Butcher. With Vidu's help, the smuggler tracks down Havoc's location by joining the fighting against the separatists. They head to Manit Point to find schematics in the separatist computer station. The smuggler is able to obtain the necessary files and hands them over to Vidu. Havoc is tracked to the separatist base in a dead volcano, and the smuggler heads off with Corso. They storm the base and confront the separatist leader Darag. Darag is killed after a brief fight, and they then learn that Havoc has fled and stolen an antique droid from the separatists. It is also revealed that Cyrena, an employee of Vidu, is helping Havoc. They rush back, finding that Cyrena has killed Vidu. However, Havoc betrays Cyrena as well, and abandons her on Ord Mantell. Furious, she tells them Scavak has gone to Coruscant and offers them passage off the planet. As they head to their shuttle, two bounty hunters working for Rogan confront the smuggler. They fight the attackers off and take a ship quickly to hyperspace. The smuggler reaches Coruscant and begins tracking down Scavak once more. With the help of Darmas Polaron, the smuggler finally learns Scavak seems to be fleeing into Justicar territory. They free an informant from a detention center, learning the Justicars may be trading with the Imperials with the help of Scavak. Scavak is believed to be in the works, and the smuggler hunts him down and demands the return of their ship. However, Scavak flees, and the chase continues to a spaceport. Their ship is recovered, and they gain a companion named Risha. However, the blasters of Rogan have been sold. Risha then tells the smuggler of several ancient valuables, which can lead them to a key. It will grant the smuggler access to the treasure of the dead crime lord Nok Drayan, a hotly contested trophy in the underworld. They travel to Terrace and its wastelands to search for a vault containing an astrogation chart. The smuggler helps their contact there with several deliveries benefiting the restoration projects of the Republic. They brave a dangerous region of Terrace to find the vault, racing against mercenaries hired by Scavak. The mercenaries are defeated, and the smuggler takes the charts from the vault. Risha tells them they are the former charts of the crime lord Davik Kang, and map out many hidden pathways and hideouts in the system. The next stop is Nar Shaddaa, where they must acquire a starship engine from Druga the Hutt. They plan to trade a massive creature on their ship for the engine, but Rogan has hired a bounty hunter to chase down the smuggler. The smuggler makes their way to a party hosted by Druga, helping a Wookiee named Baudar fight off several thugs. Druga reveals their creature is the last male specimen alive that he needs to breed with his own female specimen, but she has been stolen by activists on the planet. The smuggler decides to steal back the female specimen, finding it instead to be held by a mad scientist named Lazay. He has betrayed the lead activist and is experimenting on the creature. The smuggler is then attacked by Scavak's bounty hunter, but kills him with the help of Baudar. Lazay's compound is then stormed by the smuggler, and they free the activist and Druga's creature. The trade with Druga is completed, and Baudar joins the smuggler's crew after the smuggler helps him defeat a Gundark. They return to the ship, and overcome an ambush from a fake distress signal. Their attacker, a former lover of Scavak, is defeated, and the smuggler continues on to find the final two artifacts. On Alderaan, the smuggler takes a power droid to House Organa and Terran nobles. In exchange, they are given a schematic for a powerful anti-radiation shield for their ship. The smuggler then delivers a severed head to a contact in House Alda. They learn it is the head of Darth Bandon, the former apprentice of Darth Malak, but somehow the contact has already acquired a verified head. The smuggler's head is proved to be authentic, and it is revealed that Scavak had given the Alderaanians a fake, and has already acquired an Arcanian hyperdrive. The smuggler races away, discovering Scavak is at the spaceport of House Thule. Breaking inside, they manage to steal the hyperdrive. The crew heads next to Tatooine, where Diago Hickson, an old rival of Nok Drayan, is hiding with a grease sensor computer that they need. At a cantina there, they encountered the Jedi Knight Nariel Predence, who defeats several thugs who harass her. She is tracking Vaveron Zer of the Sith Empire, but has found nothing on Tatooine thus far. The Jedi departs, and the smuggler learns that Diago can only be contacted with the crate Dragon Fang. The smuggler breaks into a factory to find the Fang, encountering Vaveron Zer there as well. Zer demands the smuggler arrange a meeting between her and Diago, but the smuggler declines. The smuggler acquires the Fang and heads off to find Diago. Zer sends Imperial commandos after the smuggler, who defeats them and continues on. They reach Diago's base and learn he has gone mad. Zer and Nariel also appear, and a massive fight breaks out. Diago and Zer are killed in the scuffle, and the holocron of Darth Nihilus is recovered. The smuggler takes the Greek computer and returns to their ship. Risha then tells them there is one final deal to make on Nar Shaddaa. The smuggler needs to take a man frozen in carbonite to the last buyer with Risha. However, it turns out the frozen man is actually Nok Drayan, and Risha is his daughter. He had entered hibernation after one of his henchmen had poisoned him, but the disease continues to consume him. With the artifacts acquired, the The smuggler now has the only ship in the galaxy able to reclaim Draen's fortune. It is somewhere in the Long Shadow, a desolate void of space with no stars or life. The smuggler sets out to find a derelict ship in the shadow. There they find a treasure cache, but it turns out Scavak had stowed away on their ship. He attacks the smuggler, who is able to kill their hated enemy at last. They return to Nar Shaddaa, where Draen is dying. It is revealed the treasure belonged to the former king of Dubrillion, the Draen's ancestor, and Nock urges Risha to reclaim the throne with the royal crown found in the treasure. He then orders her to kill the smuggler as a final lesson, but Risha refuses, and Nock then dies to the poison. Risha formally joins the smuggler's crew, and they depart Nar Shaddaa. They then receive a call from Darmas Parleron, who asks to meet with them at Port Nowhere. Risha then warns the smuggler of a signal she detected on Nar Shaddaa that corresponds to the Void Wolf. He is Grand Admiral Haradax Kirill of the Empire, a notorious slaver of the Outer Rim. The Void Wolf seeks to conquer the entirety of the galaxy's underworld in the name of the Empire. At Port Nowhere, the smuggler is hailed by Rogan the Butcher, who still seeks revenge. They fight off Rogan's men in a massive brawl, and free and imprison Darmas as well as the Republic Senator Dodonna. They reveal Rogan is working for the Void Wolf, and Dodonna proposes the smuggler be hired on as a privateer for the Republic. The smuggler agrees, and learns they will be first sent to Balmorra. The base is then attacked by the Void Wolf, and they all narrowly escape. The smuggler knows that by serving the Republic, they will still be able to gain riches and maybe even fill the power vacuum that is opened up in the criminal underworld. They reach Balmorra, a key military supplier of the Republic. There, Darmas asks them to acquire munitions from the Republic's Project Nebula. On the surface, they learn of a Republic SIS double agent codenamed Golden, who first informed them the Empire plans to take Nebula munitions to their own front lines. The smuggler heads to the Okara droid factory, where they are attacked by Imperials. Then, a Mandalorian named Akavi Spar arrives and helps fight the Maw, proposing a partnership to find Golden. She vanishes, and the smuggler learns their contact has been kidnapped and taken to one of the Void Wolf's prison camps. They break into the camp, encountering Spar again along the way. She is looking to free a brother from her clan, but learns he has been executed. Akavi is now the last of her clan alive, and vows to destroy the prison in vengeance. The smuggler moves on and frees their contact. They also acquire data files belonging to Golden, which reveal where the Nebula shipment is currently being held. The base is attacked, and it is revealed that Golden's cover was blown when he started spending too much money accountable for a Moff's salary. He has to be extracted with full immunity, and has lied about the shipment to save his own life. Nonetheless, they are able to track the Nebula shipment and divert it away from the Empire. They are cornered by Imperials and are saved once more by Akavi. The Mandalorian joins the smuggler's crew, and they fly off to Hoth. Senator Dodonna asks them to find a cloaking device stolen by White Maw pirates. They link up with Jedi Gus Tuno, who informs them they are to infiltrate the White Maw. The smuggler steals some sensors from the Republic as a cover story, and also learns Gus isn't actually a Jedi. He is a failed Padawan and is working for the White Maw. Gus directs them to his commander Shay, who tasks them with killing a rival of his in order for them to be recruited into the White Maw pirate gang. The political competition of Shay is dealt with, but he betrays the smuggler and leaves them to die to a Wampa. The smuggler manages to survive and returns to Gus Tuno. It is revealed Shay is working for Rogan the Butcher, who seeks control over the White Maw. Shay goes on a warpath against the pirates, killing many of their prominent leaders. Tuno, who also confesses to working for Rogan, offers to help the smuggler as a form of apology, and they are able to break into the pirate base. The smuggler finds a mysterious cloaker, revealed to be a mentally debilitated alien named Trick. He is force sensitive, and when induced to fear has the power to cloak an entire fleet. Shay arrives and battles the smuggler, who kills him and frees the cloaker. Gus Tuno joins their crew, and Darmas contacts them with their next job. The smuggler, who by now has gained considerable repute in the galaxy, is introduced to Vaz Tranif, another pirate. He has been hitting Rogan's ships, but his partner Combo has been abducted. Tranif also needs help in robbing the King's Ransom, an Imperial treasury ship in orbit around Nar Shaddaa. Combo is rescued from Raskuro the Hutt, who agrees to hand Combo over in exchange for a business partnership. The Smuggler and Tranif prepare to hit the treasury ship next. They break on board and split up to rob its many vaults. The Smuggler encounters 3 Imperial moths. They hail the Void Wolf for aid, but he instead opens fire on the ship. The moths are all killed, and Tranif and the Smuggler manage to make it back to their ship. The Smuggler rescues Senator Dodonna from one of Rogan's men and some strange monsters, and is then tasked with taking down Rogan himself. The Smuggler contacts Darmas for counsel, who deduces the creatures were cybernetically modified animals from the planet of Voss. Before they can head to Voss, the Smuggler travels first to find Rogan's predecessor, Ivory. They land amidst a massive prison break, and fight through prisoners and gangs on their way to Ivory's cell. However, Ivory has already escaped, and is revealed to be gathering soldiers to his side to strike at the heart of the prison. It threatens to compromise several deadly secrets of the Republic, and more of Rogan's assassins attack the Smuggler. After defeating them, they manage to chase down Ivory as news of breakouts of ancient alien races sweep across the planet. The Smuggler confronts Ivory, but then more assassins attack them both. They are all killed, and Ivory gives the Smuggler several locations Rogan may be using to hide. The Smuggler travels to Voss, and learns Rogan's monsters are derived from the local Gormak creations. They find a cell of the Exchange Criminal Syndicate on the planet, searching for leads on Rogan. It is revealed the monsters are smuggled off Voss by a third party named Gila, something that if exposed would be a serious crime on Voss. They pose as a buyer and meet with Gila and her accomplice Zack, a human sympathetic to the Gormak. However, Gila ambushes them, looking to claim their bounty. She hails Voss commandos to their location, who will undoubtedly detain the Smuggler upon discovering them at the buying site. They are being framed for running the smuggling ring, and must now find evidence to clear their name. The Smuggler is frozen in carbonite and snuck inside a supply shipment to the Gormaks and Zack. The ploy is successful, and they discover Zack looks to take down Gila, resenting her treatment of the Gormak. He reveals Gila is working for the Sith, and the creatures she corrupts are taken to the Nightmare Lands. The Smuggler treks into the Nightmare Lands and learns the deal with the Sith will take place soon. They confront Gila, who seems to be slowly going mad, and the Sith Lord Wretchen. The Smuggler destroys Gila's creations and then kills her and Wretchen. They attend their hearing with the Voss adjudicators, where they are cleared of the trafficking charges. The Smuggler establishes several trading connections on Voss, growing their network of contacts. Darmas then informs the Smuggler that Rogan has been found to be hiding on Tatooine. It presents an enormous opportunity to take him down and lay claim to one of the biggest criminal empires in the galaxy. The Smuggler breaks into Rogan's base and finally confronts him. Then, 2 Sith arrive, hired by the Void Wolf. Shockingly, he reveals that Darmas and Dodonna are actually working for him, to bring the entire underworld under his control and so Dodonna can rule over a planet once the Empire wins the war. Void Wolf has assembled a massive pirate fleet within the borders of the Republic, which could devastate it if left unchecked. The Smuggler quickly makes a deal with Rogan to take down the Void Wolf, and they are able to defeat the Sith assassins. The Smuggler and Rogan's feud is settled, and he offers to supply them in their war against the Void Wolf. The Smuggler is told the Void Wolf's flagship is at Corellia, presumably along with Darmas and Dodonna. They rush to the planet as a massive battle brews there, and begin to hunt down Darmas. They confront him as he is manipulating local Corellians into believing the Smuggler has been loyal to the Empire and Void Wolf all along. However, they are able to expose Darmas' lies just as the Empire attacks. Darmas flees as the Jedi Master Suma Lee arrives as backup. Intel believes he is holed up in a droid factory, where he looks to change his facial appearance to go into hiding. The Smuggler confronts Darmas in time and defeats him in a duel. He reveals he is an Imperial intelligence agent and is arrested by the Smuggler. Darmas gives up intel on Dodonna, who soon flees to the Void Wolf. The Smuggler finds Dodonna at the Corellian Museum of Alien History, abandoned by the Void Wolf. She hands over everything she knows on the Void Wolf and submits herself to Republic custody. It is confirmed the Void Wolf plans to use his independent pirate fleet to attack the Republic shipyards, which would be a devastating blow to its military. After defeating a corrupt Corellian counselor, they gain access codes to the Void Wolf's flagship. Without Republic support, they break inside and manage to make it to the bridge. There, the Void Wolf is attempting to recruit 3 notorious pirate captains to his cause. As the Smuggler challenges Void Wolf, the pirates claim their fleets will be loyal to the victor of the duel. The Void Wolf, after a long fight, is killed by a grenade, and the Smuggler is then declared to be the new admiral of the pirate fleet. It is in danger of fracturing due to the many contentious parties, but for the time being is loyal to the orders of the Smuggler. They escape the Void Wolf ship as it self-destructs, returning to Master Suma Lee. They are introduced to a contingent of Republic officials and the Supreme Chancellor, and are praised for saving the shipyards. The Smuggler decides to remain working for the Republic and Jedi as a privateer, and they and their crew set out for the next adventure. During the Cold War of the Galaxy following the Treaty of Coruscant, the Sith Empire deemed it prudent to recruit any and all allies it could from the remaining neutral systems. A major target that arises is Hutta and the Hutt crime lords. An Imperial agent is sent there to secure an alliance, under the command of their mysterious spy master called the Keeper. Their task is to sway Nemro the Hutt to join the Empire, and the agent is given a cover identity of the Red Blade, a small-time pirate. The agent reclaims some stolen cargo they were to give to Nemro as a tribute, and now looks to infiltrate Nemro's circle to gain intel on the Hutt and his lieutenants. The agent, posing as the Red Blade, gains an audience with a notorious Hutt and delivers their gifts. They are allowed to reside in the palace, and learn that Fathra, a rival Hutt, has been disrupting Nemro's shipments. The agent and Keeper come to deduce that Lieutenant Carol's Javis is the weak link in Nemro's organization who may be swayed to their side, and the agent enters Javis' service to improve his standing in the cartel. Additionally, they learn that a member of the Dark Council on Droman Kos, Darth Jadis, has taken a special interest in the operation. Their cover is nearly blown by an acquaintance of the real Red Blade, but slowly the agent becomes ingrained in the organization of Nemro. They get Javis to accept their service, and recover a lost shipment from Evakai insurgents. The agent also meets a woman named Kaleo, one of Nemro's enforcers and weapons master. It becomes imperative that Fathra's operations be terminated, as the Hutts are competing for control over Svash gas mines. However, only Nemro can refine it to the degree usable by the Empire, and is thus deemed the most useful. The agent destroys Fathra's industrial base, pleasing Javis. They encounter several thugs planting listening devices in their rooms, and learn from the Keeper that Javis' sons battled a Sith apprentice. One was killed and the other crippled, meaning Javis will never be sympathetic to the Empire. The Keeper deems that Javis can no longer be relied upon to become a resource, and tasks the agent to kill him. The events will be manipulated to make it seem that Fathra killed Javis with the help of the Republic. The agent breaks into Javis' quarters, and instead urges him to flee Hutta and go into hiding. The agent ingratiates themselves to another lieutenant, who is greatly concerned the Republic seems to be involved in the gang war now. The agent then encounters Kaleo, who knows the truth of what happened to Javis. Though she doesn't know the full story, she asks to become involved in the Red Blade's dealings. The Keeper then personally hails Kaleo, and recruits her into the service of Imperial intelligence. The agent continues to fabricate the fake alliance between Fathra and the Republic. With Kaleo by their side, they break into Fathra's palace and steal several data files. They manipulate them and show them to the lieutenants and Nemro. The Hutt is outraged, and becomes more inclined to seek a partnership with the Empire. The mission is a success, and the Keeper then summons them and Kaleo back to Droman Kos. Upon arriving at Droman Kos, they witness Darth Jadis reprimanding the Keeper, reasserting his control over the intelligence branch. The agent, loyal to Imperial intelligence and the Empire over the Sith, is inducted into the service of Jadis himself. They are ordered to investigate a cell of radical insurrectionists in the capital to determine their plans. The agent is introduced to Watcher 2. They become more familiar with the structure of Imperial intelligence, then head into the jungle for Jadis' mission. The agent scopes out the site of a slave rebellion, and is ordered by Watcher 2 to find a specific alien named Jurithus, who may serve as a messenger to other like-minded rebels. The agent learns Jurithus is dead, but manages to find the data files. They are then immediately summoned for an audience with Darth Jadis, to the chagrin of the Keeper. Meeting with Jadis, the Sith tells the agent of his vision for the Empire. Jadis believes the Sith ways are essential to upholding the Empire's strength, the spread of fear and hate in all of its domain. He believes the dissidents, who wish unchecked freedom, must be crushed, and urges the agent to be wary of his superiors in Imperial intelligence. Jadis departs for his ship, the Dominator, and commands the agent to carry out his vision. The datapad from the slaves is translated, revealing their collaboration with prominent inventor Theovor Mindak. Mindak is being harbored by the Sith Lord Grethen, who is using his weapon designs. The agent uses Mindak's ambitious daughter to gain access to the inventor's data files. It seems a major attack is inevitable, and the agent attends a briefing with the Keeper and Darth Jadis. The rebels look to take out Ka City's power, and will act through the Dark Temple. Jadis sends the agent in alone, as a full squad will disturb the spirits of the temple. They succeed in defeating the terrorists and stopping the sabotage. The agent learns there are more cells on other planets, alluding to a larger network in the Empire. They return to base, only to discover that the Dominator has somehow been destroyed. Darth Jadis is presumed to be dead, and it is assumed the dissidents are the guilty party. Ka's space is locked down, and the Keeper demands that terrorists be captured alive for interrogation. Imperial intelligence is then contacted by a figure called the Eagle, who broadcasts to the entire Empire preaching of its corruption. The Eagle loathes the political bickering between the Sith of the Dark Council and the Moffs, and the pointless wars they constantly drag the Empire into. He claims responsibility for the strike against the Dominator, and promises the attacks will continue. It is a dark day for Imperial intelligence, as they have badly miscalculated the rebel strength and did not predict the Eagle's involvement in the attack. The agent is assigned to take down the Eagle's network, and is promoted to the rank of Cipher 9. They decide to set off immediately to find the Eagle's agents. First, however, they head to Korriban to meet the successor to Jadis' spot on the Dark Council, his daughter and apprentice Darth Zorid. Zorid immediately orders her bodyguards to attack Cipher 9 as a test of strength. The attackers are killed, and Zorid confides she wishes to investigate her father's murder as well, not fully believing the Eagle was responsible. Cipher 9 heads to Balmorra, where a resistance movement is slowly gaining strength. The Eagle's men are using the instability on the planet as a cover to grow their network and train new soldiers. Cipher 9 is to infiltrate the Eagle's forces, and the leader of the cell there is called Grey Star. They join the cell with the help of a mole, and complete several tasks for the terrorists to prove their loyalty. At a remote outpost, they discover an extensive list of Balmorran collaborators with the Empire. Their final task is to make a delivery into a Republic base. It turns out the delivery is actually for Grey Star, who is a mole inside pretending to be an officer. Seeing an opportunity, Cipher 9 changes the orders and directions inside the package to set a trap for the terrorist leader. Grey Star is captured, and the Empire gains control over the cell on Balmorra, continuing to send out false orders in Grey Star's name. Watcher 2 informs Cipher 9 that the Eagle seems to be planning another attack, and for this one will utilize the entirety of his organization. It seems they will use devices called Eradicators, and Cipher 9 is directed to continue dismantling the larger cells. The next one is on Nar Shaddaa, a major source of weapons and tech for the terrorists. Their contact will be a former Imperial operative, dubbed Watcher X. He has become diminished by paranoia and hallucinations, and is effectively imprisoned and wired with a bomb if he tries to escape. Cipher 9 learns the Eagle looks to distribute a super serum called Cyclone acquired on Nar Shaddaa. Posing as a buyer, Cipher 9 follows a series of leads to locate the cell on the planet. They acquire a sample and equipment to analyze its source. Cipher 9 sneaks into VerveGen facilities with the help of Watcher X, learning the serum is unavoidably lethal, but the Eagle cares little about the side effects. They take out the cell leaders, and to cripple the rest of the network on the planet, destroy the terrorist communications network. However, the security around Shadowtown, Watcher X's prison, also gets taken out and he escapes. Cipher 9 chooses to track down the rogue Watcher and kill him. After returning to their ship, they discover their ship has been placed on lockdown by Darth Zorid. She is frustrated with the lack of new intel relayed to her by the Cipher regarding Jadis' death. It seems she has not received any of Cypher's reports to Imperial intelligence, and Zord is also battling for respect among the other Dark Council members. Cypher is ordered to find an old advisor of Jadis on Nar Shaddaa and bring them to Zord on Korriban. The advisor is found, and Zord sadistically punishes the Keeper as Cypher drops them off. Investigations into the Eagle's activities continue, with the true nature of the Eradicator weapons remaining a mystery. Cypher 9 heads to Tatooine, where the elite spies and assassins of the Eagle are trained. Their contact on the surface is extremely cautious, for it turns out the Ghost Cell uses holographic disguises that make them hard to track. The Cypher learns of an old man that has trained the Ghost Cell in strange arts of stealth and operates out of a nearby empty village. As they search for the hidden village, Ghost Cell assassins emerge to attack them. The Cypher kills them all and is eventually able to find the village. They confront the old man trainer of the Ghost Cell, who is a master of holographic disguise. After a difficult battle, the trainer is killed. The Ghost Cell is destroyed, and Cypher 9 departs Tatooine. Watcher 2 then informs him they have discovered the Eradicators to be orbital strike satellites capable of leveling cities. However, they are somehow a mixture of biological and mechanical parts, and can thus be grown. Cypher 9 is sent to Alderaan, where one of the noble houses is funding the Eagle. Their contact is a former Imperial ambassador who became absorbed into the hive mind of the ancient Killik species. They meet the strange joiner, who informs them that House Cortez may be able to help them find the terrorist. Apparently, there had been a mysterious visitor to House Cortez, and Cypher 9 learns the visitor may be a former lord who abdicated and has now vanished. Using joiner resources, the lord is tracked to House Alda, where financial records may be found. Cypher 9 breaks into Alda's main terminals and secures the records. Evidence is discovered of the lord financing the attack on Darth Jadis, and the Baron of House Cortez believes the lord may be meeting with House Rist. Cypher 9 takes on the assassins of House Rist and defeats the defenders and the financier of the Eagle. However, it turns out the terrorists had been tipped off by the Baroness of House Cortez, who has betrayed Cypher. Consequently, they collaborate with the Killik Nest to attack House Cortez. The Baroness is killed, and the Eagle's network is now financially crippled. Watcher 2 patches in, revealing the Eagle has at last been located on Hutta. The Joiner ambassador from Alderaan joins Cypher's team. Arriving on Hutta, Cypher 9 learns they will be responsible for leading the main assault on the Eagle's hideout, an old refinery. Additionally, the Eradicators have already been deployed over Imperial worlds, and now pose a significant threat as well. The attack goes off smoothly, and Cypher 9 finds the Eagle at last. They learn 6 dozen Eradicators are already operational, and that without any orders they may start to go rogue. Cypher 9 battles the Eagle, and manages to score a fatal wound. The Eagle claims the Cypher has already been betrayed, for supposedly the Eagle's patron and creator of the Eradicators is embedded in the Empire. The Eagle dies, and only half of the control codes for the Eradicators are found, with the remaining presumably in the hands of the mysterious patron. Cypher 9 returns to Dromund Kaas, where the search for the Eradicators has already begun. It poses a massive risk to civilian and military life within the Empire. Cypher 9 is sent to the Artist system to hunt down the patron. Before departing, they visit Darsorid again. She is badly wounded, and reveals she had summoned the Dark Council and demanded their respect. They lashed out and scorned her, and she demands the truth be found out about what happened to Jadis. In the Artist system, the Cypher and their team find an Imperial dreadnought. They find recordings talking about some sort of social experiment, involving some 100 individuals seemingly saved from a fire. They allude to a mysterious master, claiming their terror transforms them into the master's image. Cypher 9 continues to the bridge, where they encounter an alive Darth Jadis. He vanishes and reappears in a puff of smoke, claiming everything that has transpired has been by his will. The destruction of the Dominator and murder of thousands of Imperials were all a part of his grand plan to escape the scrutiny of the Dark Council and Imperial intelligence. The 100 passengers were brought to the Artist system because they were deemed to be worthy of elevation. As Watcher 2 frantically tries to acquire Jadis' control codes, the Sith claims his disappearance has weakened the Dark Council, which is now plagued by infighting. Darsorid is an adequate distraction, and the Eagle's terrors spread much fear and hatred throughout the Empire so his Eradicators could grow. for Jadis plans to use the Eradicators to destroy his enemies on the Council and gain an iron grip over the Empire upon his return. To achieve this, though, Jadis needs the Cypher's codes. Darth Jadis proposes that the Cypher join his side and help his crusade. However, driven by loyalty to the Empire above the Sith, the Cypher declines. They state that eventually, someone else will learn of Jadis' plot and expose him, and if the Cypher is killed, the Eradicators will be rendered useless. Surprisingly, Jadis agrees to stand down, handing his codes over to Cypher and expressing his hate and respect for them. Jadis is allowed to fly off the ship, though his power base is now greatly diminished. The Cypher is presented with several options at this point in the story. The first is one in which Watcher 2 proposes they shift their focus to eliminating Jadis. She suggests Cypher pretends to ally with Jadis and let him launch the Eradicators, upon which they sabotage his ship so Imperial forces can arrest the Sith. Cypher can then walk up to Jadis and either deactivate the Eradicators entirely or launch the attack for him. If the weapons are disabled, Jadis attacks the Cypher, who fights for their life and manages to trap the Sith on the bridge within a force field. They sabotage the ship to self-destruct and flee, though Jadis is also able to narrowly escape and remain at large. If Cypher launches the Eradicators for Jadis, the attack on the Empire begins and they are presented with another choice, to sabotage the ship or ally with Jadis and become his right-hand man. If they ally with Jadis, plans are put in motion for the Sith's return and ascendance to ultimate power, and Cypher is also sent to kill Darth Sorid. Jadis reclaims his seat on the Dark Council and names Cypher as his hand. The Keeper is promoted to Minister of Intelligence, and Watcher 2 becomes the new Keeper. If the sabotage option is chosen, distress calls from the bombarded worlds are played to the Cypher as Imperial reinforcements are called by Watcher 2. Thousands are killed, but eventually Imperial forces arrive to arrest Jadis and detain him. Watcher 2 becomes the new Keeper, and Darth Sorid becomes the leader of the sphere of Imperial intelligence. Sometime later, Cypher meets with the new Keeper, who assigns them to a new operation against the Republic SIS. They must neutralize the SIS's greatest spy master Arden Koth, who has recently received complete autonomy for a large-scale operation of some sorts. The Cypher is tasked with joining the SIS as a double agent to uncover Koth's plan and eliminate him. They travel to Nar Shaddaa and meet with an SIS operative named Hunter. The Cypher is assigned a mission to prove their loyalty and takes out a combat droid factory commissioned by Nemro the Hutt. The Cypher is introduced to their new SIS team, which includes Hunter. They are also introduced to Arden Koth, who summons them to his office. He reveals he had begun to receive the messages, which were actually fabricated by the Empire, of the Cypher supposedly wishing to defect 4 months ago. Cypher's cover story is that they were disillusioned with Darth Jadis' actions, and they are given the codename Legate. Their first mission for the SIS will be on Terrace. However, Koth then says a password onomatophobia, Thesh Protocol Phase 1. Cypher's head starts to reel, and outside their control they shut down. They awaken shortly later before Koth, who reverts them back to Phase 0. Cypher 9 realizes they have been brainwashed, which Koth says is a security measure and cannot be overridden by Cypher personally. Cypher is still sent to Terrace and manages to inform the Keeper of a complication but is unable to say anything else. Watcher X's voice then resonates in their head, telling them to wait for their chance to break free. Upon arriving at Terrace, Koth briefs them on the Republic's restoration efforts on the planet and how they are being hindered by the Sith. Additionally, there is a corrupt Jedi, Kai Sazin, somewhere on the surface, and it is Cypher's job to stop her. Koth worries Sazin is trying to build a power base on Terrace and seems to be researching ancient artifacts and technology. They land and travel to a lab recently attacked by Sazin, but learn another Imperial intelligence agent has already been there. A distress signal is then received from the lab warning of a rock ghoul attack. Cypher 9 rushes to the lab and rescues the Imperial agent, Dr. Loken. Loken shows them around the lab, which used to belong to Dr. Nassan Godera. It is discovered that the Jedi Sazin stole some research and something called an ultra-wave transmitter. Loken guides Cypher to Sazin's next believed target. It seems that the Jedi has built a cult following of her own, gaining the loyalty of the Nikto people. Cypher discovers that Sazin plans to use the ultrawave transmitter to gain control of the rock ghouls and transform them into her own army. They head out to continue the hunt for Sazin, but at some point their team member Chance hails them. He is wounded, and uses the keyword to brainwash Cypher into rescuing him. Following more leads, Cypher finds Sazin's base in the ultrawave transmitter. They confront the rogue Jedi and defeat her in a duel. The transmitter is recovered, and then a wild rock ghoul appears. It stunningly transforms back into Dr. Loken, and they quickly return to the Imperial Command Center. Once safe, Loken reveals he has perfected a custom strain of the rock ghoul virus, allowing him to switch between rock ghoul and human forms. Loken joins Cypher's team, and they contact Koth. However, the Cypher begins to go mad and starts to hallucinate. Watcher X appears before them, wondering if the brainwashing has damaged their mind. Cypher 9 must somehow find a way to subvert their conditioning, which seems to be the result of Imperial machinations rather than the Republic. They are told they must find more information on Dromund Kaas in their personal files. Cypher 9 returns to Dromund Kaas and gains access to the data archives. It is revealed that the former Keeper had applied Castellan restraints to Cypher. This was done at the behest of some Sith Lords, who had become concerned of their motivations and loyalty after the conflict with Darth Jadis. The restraints allow anyone with the password to shut down and reprogram Cypher's mind. Cypher learns the serum for the restraints takes 3 to 30 days to become effective, and once fully absorbed, cannot be reversed. The only way to gain some semblance of control would be to create a new password, but research suggests that repeating that process over and over could damage Cypher. Consequently, they need to find a constant source of the serum. As the Imperial stores are currently depleted, Cypher must now travel to Quesh to find a key ingredient for the serum. Cypher races to Quesh, where they are able to secure the chemical required to make the serum. They inject themselves, and begin to slowly become free from the brainwashing. Cypher 9 is then summoned to Hoth by Koth for another mission. They are tasked with recovering a specific ship called the Starbreeze, and must contend with the Empire, White Maw pirates, and salvagers. Cypher travels down and links up with an Imperial base leading a salvage operation. However, the Admiral there orders for Cypher to be killed, and they are forced to fight off the Imperials. They make contact with a Chiss sergeant back at the base, a member of the Chiss Expansionary Force. They reveal the Chiss have a secret cell on Hoth, and offer their resources to hunt down the Admiral. Also present is a human ensign named Reyna Temple, who is revealed to have a weak connection to the Force and hid with the Chiss to avoid being forced to join the Sith Academy. Cypher begins to hunt the Admiral down, with Hunter of the SIS team checking in and demanding status updates. Eventually, they track him to the Starship Graveyard, where the Admiral has allied with White Maw pirates. The Starbreeze is found, and Cypher attacks the Admiral in a massive battle. The Admiral and pirates are defeated, and the Starbreeze is handed over to Hunter. Reyna is allowed to join Cypher's team, but is to be killed if she ever threatens a mission. Hunter now seems to be different from the other SIS agents, and then Koth reveals to Cypher their next stop is Quesh. Both the Republic and Imperials are unaware of the new serum in Cypher, that they are still susceptible to the password. When they land on Quesh, they learn they are to work with their SIS teammates, including Hunter. Their mission is to find a weapon called the Shadow Arsenal, a powerful array of stealth missiles. The previous missions have all led to important components to unlocking the arsenal, which is so lethal it would only take one missile to destroy Kaas City. The mission is a success, and Koth orders Cypher to return to Imperial intelligence. The voice of Watcher X informs them it is finally time to rewrite their programming and free Cypher from outside control. A new password is chosen, and Cypher is given a choice on how to program their mind, to pursue freedom, power, or revenge. Cypher chooses complete freedom from the brainwashing, but the fact remains that the SIS was somehow able to obtain Imperial brainwashing codes. Cypher then decides to break away from the SIS, and returns to stop Koth from unleashing the Shadow Arsenal on the Empire. They encounter 2 SIS members and ask to be led to Koth. The team leader immediately senses Cypher is free from the brainwashing, and reveals he used to be a Jedi. They battle, and Cypher overcomes Koth. They choose to let him live and escape, and the Shadow Arsenal is taken for the Empire. Hunter then patches in, also aware of Cypher's freedom. He seems to be unaffiliated with both the Empire and Sith, and urges Cypher to flee as the facility begins to be bombarded. They return to Droman Kos and meet with the Minister of Intelligence, their former keeper. He knows of Cypher's freedom as well, claiming the restraints were necessary to save their life. It is revealed Kos' shuttle was found without any data on the Shadow Arsenal, and there are no records of an agent named Hunter. It seems a third party is manipulating the war, and is responsible for tipping the SIS off to the missiles and brainwashing passwords. Cypher 9 must now find Hunter, who was last seen heading to the Eisen 4 asteroid colony. However, they arrive at the colony to find it burning and filled with bodies. A survivor reveals the colony had been attacked and massacred even after offering to surrender. Cypher finds a terminal and Hunter's trail. Hunter himself then patches in, revealing he was responsible for the slaughter. He seeks to ignite war between the Empire and Republic, and warns Cypher to leave him alone. Sure enough, the Republic soon declares war on the Empire, and Cypher returns to Droman Kos for a debriefing. There, they are informed by Keeper that Hunter seems to be part of a vast, powerful network of operatives skilled in espionage, but their motivations remain unclear. Cypher's new assignment is to hunt down the invisible agents, beginning with Belsavis. On the prison world, Cypher must adopt the cover of a high-profile prisoner. The conspirators apparently collaborated with the Republic to construct Mega Security Ward 23, a special section in the prison. Cypher is to infiltrate the prison and break into the ward to discover its secrets. They free several prisoners with the skills needed to break inside. As riots spread across Belsavis, they soon realize they are being observed by a strange sentient droid called Scorpio. Cypher 9 eventually manages to break into the ward despite the efforts of Scorpio and the advanced security systems. There they find rows of Kolto tanks, with men and women floating inside. Several holograms appear and talk to the Cypher, but then the droid Scorpio appears and attacks. Cypher destroys the droid, and the holograms then reveal the security ward serves as the conspirators' vault. It stores their great treasures, including microdroids, genetic maps, and the Scorpio AI. But perhaps most important are the beings of the holograms, who are all men and women who represent the noblest and brightest minds of the galaxy. Some have been put in stasis for centuries. It is revealed the conspiracy's original intention was to preserve society from the devastation of the constant warring between Jedi and Sith. After the Great Hyperspace War, the Republic had stood victorious over a galaxy in ruins. Several men gathered and came to believe that Jedi and Sith, and their supposedly righteous crusades against each other, had caused billions to die. They decided to form an organization called the SWTOR Cabal, to control the actions of the Republic and Empire from the shadows. For centuries, the SWTOR Cabal has manipulated the events of the galaxy, but the newest generations of leaders have become corrupt and power-hungry. The holograms decide to help Cypher take down the Cabal, and repair Scorpio so the droid can join the crew. Though Scorpio is resistant to joining Cypher, it accompanies Cypher back to their ship and uploads intel on the Cabal leaders to Imperial intelligence. Their ship then comes under attack. A Prince of Alderaan boards the ship, seeking vengeance for the death of Baroness Cortez. The prince is defeated, but most concerning is the fact that Hunter is now spreading Cypher's identity across the galaxy. Cypher 9 is then directed to head to the Titan Rings to access the HoloNet archive, for the Keeper may have discovered a call between Hunter and his superiors. They are able to break in and assemble a full holo recording from several fragments. Cypher 9 flies back to Droman Kos as the call is analyzed. Several holos of powerful figures appear, including a mysterious figure called the Creeper, and the holos discuss the ascendancy of the Sith Lords Barriss and Angral, as well as the awakenings of the Children of the Emperor. The Council seems to move forward towards an operation called Armageddon, and a figure called the Prince then approaches the Keeper, only seen by her. His holo seems to force choke her and the other Watchers, and they collapse and are rushed away to medical care. The Cypher is now effectively on their own, and it is now more important than ever the Cabal be destroyed so Imperial intelligence can recover. Cypher follows a lead to the planet Voss next. A call comes in from Hunter, who mocks them and the incapacitated Imperial agents. They continue on to Voss, which has remained neutral in the war. Cypher meets with an Imperial agent on the surface. They learn they must search for a human called the Shining Man. He was an outsider but became deeply ingrained in Voss culture within years. Shining Man seemed to have somehow gained the deep respect of the Voss when no other outsider and had died some years ago. Cypher 9 ventures to the Shining Man's tomb, but finds nothing but a scroll and no body. The scroll is brought back to their contact, where the phrases "man of prophecy" and "made whole in the wellspring of the shrine of healing" are translated. Cypher is sent to complete the pilgrimage to the shrine. They undergo a ritual with the boss mystic, during which they relive their past before they became a servant of their empire. The ritual concludes, seemingly healing Cypher. They continue to follow the path of the Shining Man to a Voss vault. Inside, they find a hollow recording of the Shining Man talking to a mystic, who says the man had brought them a scroll of a long-lost prophecy. This is how he conned the Voss, and Cypher decides to continue to the Nightmare Lands to learn how the fake prophecy was made. However, the Imperial operative is then kidnapped by bounty hunters, and must now be rescued by Cypher. They are summoned to meet with the bounty hunters, who turned out to be employed by Fothra the Hutt. The crime lord seeks revenge for Cypher's sabotage of his operations on Hutta, which caused him to be exiled from the planet. Cypher 9 kills the bounty hunters, and then forces Fothra to serve them in the future. The Imperial operative dies, but implores Cypher to acquire the sacred maps to the Nightmare Lands. Cypher uses the aid of a Voss family to acquire the maps, and journeys to find the truth behind the Shining Man. There, they find the Shining Man ship and destroy it. Cypher is then informed that the Chamber of Ashes has become ablaze, and that they have been summoned to meet with the Three, the governing body of Voss. There, Cypher learns their arrival seems to have fallen in line with a prophecy, but that same prophecy also fits the Shining Man as well. It is revealed the Shining Man taught Voss much of the outside galaxy, and counseled them to refuse to ally with outsiders for 3,000 days. Apparently, if this was fulfilled, the Gormak on Voss would be eliminated, and the Empire and Republic would both cease to exist. The Voss agreed to this, the reason they have remained so staunchly neutral in the conflict for 8 years. Cypher 9 leaves Voss and departs immediately for Dromund Kaas. They find the Imperial intelligence base commandeered by the Sith, with Lord Razor force-choking Watcher 3. It is revealed the Dark Council has dissolved the Operations Division, and its personnel has been reassigned. Imperial intelligence is deemed to have failed in wartime operations, and consequently has been dissolved and its resources given over to Darth Barras. Khaleo is detained and labeled as an anarchist subject to interrogation. The remnants of Cypher's team are then transferred to the front lines of the Battle of Corellia. There they must continue to pursue the Star Cabal and survive the vicious street fighting that has erupted on the surface. Cypher will serve under Lord Razor, who hungers for battle. They are tasked with scouting out bombing targets for Imperial pilots. Several successful runs are carried out, and Cypher receives a mysterious transmission urging them to focus on the Cabal. They are directed to find data on Republic reinforcements, and learn the Republic is far stronger than previously believed. Troubled, the bombing missions conclude, and Cypher then contacts their mysterious helper. It is revealed the contact is a recovered Keeper, who informs Cypher the Cabal's endgame will be enacted on Corellia. They have manipulated the massive battle on the planet to lure both the Empire and Republic to their destruction. Then, a Jedi strike team attacks Lord Razor and defeats Cypher's commander. They manage to take down the Jedi, knowing that impending battles between Jedi and Sith play right into the Star Cabal's hands. Keeper instructs Cypher to let themselves be captured by a Cabal airship and interrogated. They must feed them false intel to scramble their schemes, as well as to discover the location of their main base. On the airship, they discover Corellian elites partaking in a doomsday party organized by Hunter. A hollow of Hunter rejoices that soon, the galaxy will no longer be controlled by the whims of Force users, instead at peace under the rule of the Star Cabal. Cypher is gassed and knocked out. They are interrogated and manage to plant the false intel of incoming powerful Imperial reinforcements. They eventually manage to break free and escape, and then fake their death to avoid being pursued by the Cabal and the Republic SIS, led by Arden Koth. Cypher heads to the ship Tenebris, where they meet the remains of Imperial intelligence as well as a freed Khaleo. They meet with the Minister of Intelligence, who reveals they have tracked the Star Cabal base to a space station in the Null Zone. Cypher is tasked with utterly destroying the Cabal, and departs immediately. They sneak onto the base and manage to eavesdrop on a meeting of the Cabal leaders. They are discussing the loss of Corellia, and Cypher manages to gain IDs on the leaders and their dossiers. Cypher then drops in and battles the Creeper and Prince and kills them both. Hunter appears and battles Cypher, revealing all the Cabal secrets are stored in a black codex. Hunter is defeated in a fight and entrusts the Codex to Cypher. It is then revealed Hunter is actually a woman, a trainee of the Old Man on Tatooine. She admits an attraction to Cypher had grown in her during their battles, and chooses to electrocute herself to death. Cypher then obtains the Black Codex, the deepest and darkest secrets of the SWTOR Cabal. Two Sith Lords then show up. If Cypher is allied with Darth Jadis, they ask the Codex to be given over to their lord. The two Sith can also appear on behalf of the Dark Council and demand a Codex be given over to that entity. In both cases, Cypher can hand over the Codex, give the Sith a fake, destroy the Codex, or flat out refuse to help. If they refuse to help, the Codex ends up being destroyed. However, if Arden Koth is instead spared earlier in the game, he appears and kills the Sith. He seeks proof of the Cabal and the conspiracy, and warns Cypher the Empire will abuse the Codex to blackmail the galaxy. Cypher again has the option to give the Codex to the SIS, destroy it, hand over a fake, or try to keep it for themselves. If they refuse, Koth will let them leave with the Codex. However, if by this point Cypher leans to the light side, Koth will instead present them an offer to work for the Republic and become a true double agent while remaining in the Empire. After the decisions, Cypher returns to the Tenebris and meets with the Keeper and Minister of Intelligence. If the Codex was given to the Dark Council or Darth Jadis, the Sith have effectively politically supplanted Imperial intelligence, and the organization will never be rebuilt. Cypher is designated as lead of specific black projects utilizing the Codex's secrets. If the Codex is brought safely back to the Minister, Imperial intelligence will still not be rebuilt, but the Cypher will now be able to go dark and banish from the scrutiny of the Sith and even the Empire itself. Cypher gains complete autonomy and operational freedom, while keeping their allies within intelligence. They still retain the secrets of the Codex, and wield a great hidden power over the rest of the galaxy. If the Codex is destroyed, Imperial intelligence will not be rebuilt, and Cypher becomes a rogue agent, as the secrets cannot be used to protect them. The future of the Empire and Cypher is thus thrown into uncertainty. Afterwards, Cypher returns to their crew and their ship, celebrating the destruction of the SWTOR Cabal. They resolve to continue stopping the enemies of the Empire, and fly away.